I was with a guy filming. I know it was in the Highlands of Scotland. I don't think it was all that far away from here. I live in Stirling. I think it was not too far away, maybe Perthshire or somewhere near, relatively nearby. And we were on a wind-blasted hillside one day, 15 years ago maybe. And in a gap in the filming, probably while it was raining or whatever, and it was just him and I. The camera crew were whatever 20 yards away, and he said, hands in pockets. A serious guy, an academic, a historian type person, and he was standing like that on the hill, and out of nowhere he said, you know, a couple of years ago, or no, he said a lot of years ago now, I was on a road just over there. He pointed, and he said, it was at night in the winter time. It was raining, terrain, dreadful night, dark, barely see, windscreen wipers, and he could see a guy on the road ahead of him walking in the same direction that he was going in. And as he got closer, he realised that the guy was hopelessly unprepared for the weather. It was like a light jacket and trousers. He was soaked to the skin. It was cold, winter. So he pulled in, wound down the window. It was way before the days of electric windows. Wound down the window and said, "You want a lift? Whatever, give you a lift." And the guy jumped in. Young guy, bearded. So he jumped in the passenger seat, soaking, water running off him. And my guy put his car into gear, headed off down this single track road, whatever, windscreen wipers, really having, his headlights, peering ahead, just paying attention to the road. And some time had passed, and he thought, I better talk to this guy because, it's been 10 minutes now. And he looked across, and there was nobody there. No one in the passenger seat. The seat was dry. What the hell just happened? Now, I said something, asinine, like, wow, when he told me this story. I said, I don't know what to make of that. He said, neither do I. He had hands in his pockets. He wasn't being extravagant about it. He wasn't being storytellerish about it. He just recounted it deadpan. Now, as I say, I don't think he was making that up for me. Maybe he was, 1% chance. I think something had happened to that guy 20 years previously, 30 years previously, that he couldn't explain. And he told me. And I listened to it and I thought, like you, mate, I've got no explanation for that. That's strange. Where do you go with that? He wasn't drunk. He was driving a car in the 70s. He was on his own. He was on the way from wherever, somewhere to elsewhere, picked up a guy, gone. Now, I ask you, what do you do with that, Lewis?
I don't. I mean, my as you mentioned there, my mind, the first thing I went to was he drunk? Was he, was there any substances involved? That's the first place I go to. But as you mentioned there, if he's driving, that sort of eliminates that possibility. So what you're left with is, unexplainable.
If he wasn't making it up, and
Yeah.
like you said, with ghost stories, you've always got to allow for that. You've got a file somewhere or a folder in amongst their story where you go, completely made it up.
Yeah.
This guy looked me in the eye and for whatever reason decided to tell me a completely makey up his story. That's possible. But the context of the guy, the thing we were talking about, it was serious, academic. Why? Why would he spin me a line? I honestly, hand on heart, if I had to testify in court, I'd say, no, I don't think the guy, I think that guy, I mean, when you start looking into these stories, you think, well, people will tell you, scientific people who are looking rationally and soberly for explanations will say, well, people have their subconscious at play all the time. You have, I have, your unconscious, your subconscious. You, me, all of us, were products of everything that's happened to us. Good and bad, light and dark, yesterday, today, 20 years ago. It's all in there. It's all in there, being processed and repurposed all the time. And you've got an unconsciousness running all the time, which means that whether you're aware of it or not, you're sometimes approaching situations and approaching a next encounter, and there's stuff going on in the background which may play into the way in which you interpret the next 10 minutes of your life. That is true. And from time to time, depending on your subconscious and your unconsciousness, that's giving you a perspective through which you are seeing the next minute of your life. So so you do allow for all of that. But I would say that all of that is part of the necessity to not dismiss what people say and go, that's just nonsense, or you just made that up, or you were completely mistaken. You know, you saw something else that was rational, and for whatever reason, for 10 minutes, you interpreted it in a completely irrational way. I think a more mature and reasoned understanding, at the very least, would have to allow for the possibility that there's a better explanation for what these people have experienced. And I think they're experiencing phenomena. I think they're experiencing something real, which at the moment we don't properly understand, have the equipment to detect, and we don't necessarily have the framework, the context in which to understand it.